Hundreds of passengers and crew members were left on one of Hawaii's islands by the Norwegian NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, Pride of America cruise ship because a tsunami was incoming. Let's talk ship, y'all. As sirens blared across Hawaii on Tuesday afternoon and evening, one of the most dramatic scenes unfolded quietly on the big island of Hilo Harbor. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hilo Harbor. If I'm not, somebody please get in the comments and let me know. Norwegian Cruise Line's Pride of America was forced to abandon port hours ahead of schedule due to tsunami evacuation orders. In the rush to leave, more than 300 passengers and crew members were left behind, many of whom were stranded without transportation, a place to go, or any clear sense of what would come next. My God, could you imagine? The decision to leave the port abruptly was driven by protocol. For those of you who are upset about this, it was driven by protocol, okay? This was following an 8.8 magnitude earthquake off of Russia's Kamchatka. Okay, if I'm butchering that, let me know. Kamchatka Peninsula. Tsunami alerts were issued for Hawaii and the U.S. West Coast. The U.S. Coast Guard ordered vessels out of Hawaii's port for safety, and NCL complied. You might be thinking, well, why would NCL, for safety reasons, why would the cruise ship leave? There's not much you can do as a cruise ship or any sea-going vessel, as a matter of fact, in that kind of weather. If you're anchored to the dock, big waves are coming in, big winds, big waves are coming in, and it's thrashing your cruise ship into the land mass. So if passengers and crew members are on that vessel, they're in danger of having, their lives ruined, or okay, and the vessel is also in danger as well. So it's better for seagoing vessels to actually unanchor themselves, unmoor themselves, and leave that area, because ships have maneuverability. It's better for them to go out to sea until the imminent threat has passed and then return. You'll see this a lot during hurricanes. When a hurricane is set to hit an area, you'll see Navy ships, cruise ships, things of that nature. You'll see them leaving the area where the hurricane is supposed to make landfall, and then they'll come back later, because that is the most safe place for the seagoing vessel, is out at sea, because it has maneuverability. Okay? But timing proved difficult. With sirens already sounding and traffic completely snarled across the big island and the entire state, hundreds of Pride of America passengers were unable to get back to the ship before it departed. Cruise passengers often assume that ship schedules are set in stone, and in most cases they are. However, maritime law permits immediate departures when safety is at risk, which in this case, it was deemed that safety was at risk for that vessel and the human lives on said vessel. In this case, both passengers and official NCL shore excursions and those exploring independently were caught off guard, as you can imagine. Some guests were on NCL or independent commercial tours, while others were exploring Hilo on foot. A few were too far from the harbor to navigate the gridlock and return in time to sail. For Hawaiian travelers considering a cruise, the takeaway is this: always have a contingency plan. For those of you who travel without travel insurance, now might be a good time to consider that, okay? Pride of America passengers, not on ship-sponsored excursions, had to find their way to safety. Many ended up at a nearby high school, a designated tsunami shelter, 3 miles inland and 105 feet above sea level. Others scrambled for hotel rooms or private rides up the hill. Some families were reportedly split between ship and shore. Some described the experience as surreal, while others found it terrifying. Again, as you could imagine. So it's just a nice reminder for us frequent cruisers and those who don't cruise and are planning to cruise that these sort of things can happen. Okay. NCL confirmed that all passengers had been informed via SMS of the early departure and directed to follow emergency instructions. The cruise line also coordinated with authorities to shelter its tour participants at Waiakea. Again, if I'm butchering that, I apologize. Waiakea High School. According to tracking data, Pride of America remained just offshore overnight, awaiting clearance to return once the harbor reopened the following day. By early Wednesday morning, the tsunami warning had been downgraded to an advisory. Hilo Harbor was scheduled for a safety inspection before passengers could reboard. At first, no timeline was given, and many visitors worried they might miss the rest of their inter-island itinerary. I gotta tell you, if I was in that scenario, I don't think I would necessarily be worried about missing the rest of my inter-island itinerary. I think I'd be more concerned with getting out of Hawaii and getting home safely. That's just me. It is my understanding that by the time the waves hit the Hawaiian Islands, they're about 5 feet tall by the time they hit the Hawaiian Islands, which is why it was downgraded to an advisory. But still, 5 feet tall, that's the size of a short person. Water coming inland, doing whatever damage it's going to do. So, certainly don't want to be on the shoreline when that happens. Visitors staying on the Big Island saw widespread ripple effects from both the cruise departure and the tsunami alerts. Roads were jammed in every direction, and Hilo's harborfront was shut down entirely. Some residents tried to assist stranded tourists by offering rides uphill or sharing information about nearby shelter locations. Others took to social media with footage of the ship sailing away as stunned passengers watched from shore. Again, terrifying. I couldn't imagine, y'all. I could not. Oh my God, my heart would have sank into my feet. And there were some passengers that were on tour buses that were headed back to the harbor. Headed back to, Hilo Harbor. They were headed back to the port so the passengers could get off the tour buses and make its way back to the cruise ship. But when they got there, they saw the cruise ship sailing away. Oh my God. I know it was terrifying in the moment, horrific, very emotional, very energy draining, but I gotta tell you, that's one hell of a story once you survive it, right? Apparently this isn't the first time a cruise ship has left passengers behind in Hawaii due to emergency, but this is the most high profile one. This also serves as a reminder that a lot of cruises, all of them really, while most of them go off without a hitch, they can be disrupted too with Mother Nature naturing. Mother Nature's gonna Mother Nature, okay? And sometimes your cruise can be disrupted for that reason. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys travel with travel insurance or not? I do, but I was wondering, do you guys travel with travel insurance or not? I've spoken to some people who they don't travel with it. And I find them to be younger people. They don't travel with it because they believe, oh my God, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'll be fine. And in most cases, that's true. But if for whatever reason you're on a excursion, let's just say you're jet skiing or something, and for whatever reason you experience an injury on that jet ski, like something happens to your leg or whatever, and you need to get that taken care of, cruise insurance would come in handy for that. Back during the 2020, the big C was going on, later on, not in 2020, but later on when cruise lines started to open up again, if you got ill with that particular illness, you needed to go to the infirmary and get taken care of. Cruise insurance, travel insurance would help with that. I tend to use a third party insurance provider. I don't use the one provided by the cruise ship because it offers less and it costs more. That's just what I've noticed in my traveling. So I do use a third party agent. I would like to know who cruises without it and who cruises with it. And if you don't cruise without it, I'm curious to know why. What are your reasons for not cruising without cruise insurance? And have you decided, after hearing a story like this, that is something that you may consider in the future? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today, okay? So everyone have a great day. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!